Okay, today, dear student, will talk about how calculus is important in physics. And usually it is found that students which are bit weak in mathematics, they face some difficulties also in physics. But anyway, once you are in physics, you don't have any choice but to learn mathematics. Let me take some simple examples so you can understand it. If we just draw these two lines, assuming this is one variable x, the other variable y. X and y can be any variable later on. For example, if this is t, this is displacement, this can be time, this can be velocity, and so on. The concept to understand here is, see the line which is nearer to x-axis has got a smaller slope, and the line which is nearer to y-axis has got more slope. Exactly this tells you the variable y is changing slower than the variable x, while here the variable y is changing faster than the variable x. So this exactly gives you the rate of change of the dependent variable with respect to independent variable. Now for example, if I replace this x by t and this by displacement, or let it give y itself, then dy by dt will give you the velocity. So it's very clear that this line will be representing body with a lower velocity, and this line will be representing a body with a higher velocity. Similarly, if I take this as t and this as v, velocity, then this slope will give me acceleration. That means this body is with more acceleration, this body is with less acceleration. So slope exactly decides with what rate the dependent variable is changing with independent variable. Assume this line is along x-axis. That simply tells that though x variable is changing, but there is no change in y. Similarly, if the line is along y-axis, that simply means the variable y is changing, but there is no change in x. Anyway, there are extreme cases, but if you are moving the line towards y-axis, it clearly tells that y variable is changing more faster than x variable. Now, as far as the line is concerned, you find slope anywhere with a big triangle, small triangle, slope on a line remains same. That means slope of a line is a constant quantity. But when you go for a curve, then you can clearly see here the slope is going to be different, here the slope is going to be different. It depends on the point you consider. Along a curve, every point has got its own slope. While along a line, slope is going to be a constant quantity. That's why whenever we have to find the slope of a curve, we exactly differentiate, and then we should know which point you are finding the slope. Because here it is independent of the point you find, but here it depends on the point. So this is a concept of slope, which we normally do in all the experiments and you find in the graph and everywhere. Next problem which I am taking is a simple circle problem, where we know from my childhood that if this is my arc and this is my angle and this is my r, radius of the circle, then the arc length is given by r into d theta. The notation and notion can be different, but basically it is arc length as r into d theta. Obviously, when I go from this radius position along the circle or in the complete circle, I will be having a complete angle of 2 pi. So this is arc length for this particular angle d theta. Assume I integrate this, I am expecting that I will be getting nothing but a circumference. And here on the right hand side we get 0 to 2 pi r d theta. The reason is angle is changing from 0 angle to 2 pi and d theta. Obviously radius of the circle remains constant, only parameter which is changing is d theta. So r we can take out, and d theta when we integrate we get theta 0 to 2 pi. When you put the limit we get c equal to 2 pi r, and we all know this is nothing but circumference of the circle. This is how the derivative concept or integration concept or calculus concept is used to find the circumference of the circle. Similarly, if we take this sector, then we know from our 10th standard probably that area of the sector is given by half r square d theta. Again, radius of the circle will be throughout constant. Theta will be changing from 0 to 2 pi. So dA, once I write this and if I integrate, I am expecting area of the circle, because dA when you integrate throughout, and area of the circle. 0 to 2 pi half r square d theta. Again, half and r square being constant will be out. D theta integrated theta limit 0 to 2 pi. When I put the limits of this theta, I get nothing but 2 pi minus 0, which is 2 pi. Half r square remains same. Cancellation gives me nothing but pi r square. We all know this is nothing but area of the circle. So this is how calculus is used to find for simple mathematical results which we know from childhood. We'll have more complicated problems later on. But let's start with a very simple concepts. Then normally students are very confused with the derivatives. When they ask, they normally say in 12th standard either we took it casually or we took it option, whatever it is, but whatever is the reason, we have to learn it. I've taken a function intensely which covers almost all the rules of derivatives. So assume you are asked to differentiate sec cube x is to 5, then dy by dx will be, what I'm going to do is, this expression has got a power of 3. 5 is not a power of expression. 5 is not a power of the function. 5 is the power of the angle. Power of the function is 3. So first you have to differentiate with respect to power. Then you have to differentiate sec function itself as per the trigonometry. And then you have to differentiate this angle as per the power rule. So actually it's having so many things at a time. Let's see how it goes. For example, if you differentiate with respect to power, it will be 3. Power will reduce to 2. And my angle is x is to 5. So derivative of this expression with reference to the power is this much. Then what remains is a sec function. And we know derivative of sec is sec x tan x. But my angle here is x is to 5. So it will be sec x is to 5 tan x is to 5. So this is derivative of power. Then this is derivative of sec x. Or sec x is to 5. And even this angle has to be differentiated because it is not having a power of 1. And derivative this gives me 5x is to 4. You see carefully, 5 into this gives me 15. This x is to 4 I prefer to take here. This sec function and this sec function are similar. Power being 2, power being 1, it will be 3. And this is 10x is to 5. This is nothing but the derivative of this expression. I repeat, because normally there is quite a lot of confusion in the students. First we differentiate with respect to power, so 3 comes here. Power of sec will reduce to 2. Then derivative of sec will be sec x is to 5 tan x is to 5. Because sec x can derivative is sec x tan x. Remember, if the angle is x is to 5, you have to continue x is to 5. Don't write tan x sec x. And then derivative of x is to 5 is nothing but 5x is to 4. If I just collect everything here, I'll be getting 15x is to 4 sec cube x, because this function and this function are similar. Power is 2, power is 1, so become 3 again. X is to 5, 10x is to 5. This simple explanation of the derivative of this particular function. That way, any function given to you, you should have to differentiate in the sequence of chain rule, whatever rules we apply. Now, one of the most important application of derivative, which is very interesting, is you just see here, I've just drawn 4 quadrilaterals. I know this is a square, still I'm calling quadrilateral, and or a parallelogram, whatever you call it as. Here I've seen this side is 4, this side is 4, so total perimeter will be 16. This side is 3, this side is 5. So 5 plus 5, 10 plus 6, perimeter is again 16. And this side being 1 and this side being 7, 7, 7, that is 14, 14 plus 2 is again 16. The common thing in all the 3 is their perimeter is same. But a surprise when you find the area of each of them, you're surprised to see that area under this is maximum compared to these two. Again I repeat, even the perimeter being same, area under each will be different, and here it is going to be maximum. Let's say an example itself. 4 into 4, 16 will be the area here. 5 into 3, 15 will be the area here. 7 into 1, 7 the area here. Now what is the 16, 15 and 7? Area of this, area of this, area of this, because 7 into 1 is 7 only. But as the parameter is concerned, this also is 16, this also is 16, this also is 16. Now this can be proved mathematically with derivative that among the given rectangles or even among the given parallelograms, the area of a square is maximum. That's why I may not have realized whenever we have got a tiles in home or wherever it is, they're normally square in shape.